ladies and gentlemen. It's Summerslam!
What's going on, YouTubers? It is your boy, Alyx, and welcome to another edition to my SummerSlam review series. We go all the way back to 1991, the fourth SummerSlam in my review series, the fourth SummerSlam in history, and this one features the match made in heaven and the match made in hell. That is the wedding between Macho Man Randy Savage, ooh yeah, and Miss Elizabeth, and the tag match between Iraqi sympathizers Sergeant Slaughter, General Adnan, and Iron Sheik taking on Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. The big battle between America and Iraq coming to fruition in a WWE, WWF ring. I gotta be real with you. Although there was some good stuff on this show, including a classic Intercontinental Championship match, the two things that matter are those two main events. So I'm going to breeze through the rest of this card so we can get to the big talking points, which are the matches made in heaven and hell. So a couple of details, and then we'll get into the card. The show run time was 2 hours and 45 minutes. The date was August 26, 1991. Arena, Classic Arena, Madison Square Garden, the home for Wrestlemania, and apparently SummerSlam in New York City, New York. Attendance was sold out, 20,000. Commentary, check this out. Gorilla Monsoon, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. This is Bobby's first appearance on commentary for SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken it is. Although he was on commentary for a short bit in, what was it, 1988, I think. But this is his first official appearance on commentary. And of course, ring announcer was our favorite, Howard the Fink. First match was a six-man tag. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Texas Tornado, Terry Von Erich, British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, taking on the Warlord, Power and Glory. And that's Paul, Roma, and Hercules. Look, Steamboat, Von Erich, and Smith were the best parts of this match. Let's leave it at that. It was decent. The good guys won. Moving on to, again, a classic Intercontinental Championship match between Mr. Perfect, defending his belt against Bret the Hitman Hart. I recommend you all go see this. Easily one of the greatest Intercontinental Championship matches in history, especially for SummerSlam. I recommend all wrestling fans see it if you haven't. These two tore it up. These are two technical masters at the sport. They're great at what they do, and the counters, the near falls, everything you can want in a match this has. I especially love the ending where we see Bret Hart kick out of the Perfect Plex, which they said was the first time that's ever been done. I don't know if that's true. I'm assuming it's not, but they said it was the first time, and if it was, what a big moment that was. Maybe it was one of the few times it actually happened, but regardless, afterwards, Mr. Perfect tried to go for a leg drop, and Bret catches the leg and turns it into a sharpshooter. Amazing counter. He wins the IC Championship. It was time for him to do it. He was doing awesome stuff with his tag team partner, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. This was his first singles appearance on SummerSlam, and what an appearance it was. He became the Intercontinental Champion, and he goes on to be one of the best, in my personal opinion. Then we follow a fantastic match with this crap. The Natural Disasters, that is Typhoon and Earthquake, taking on Luke and Butch, the Bushwhackers. And in their corner was Andre the Giant. So let me start off by talking about Andre. Around this time, he was in horrid pain. if you see him in the interview segment, you can just look at his face. He's hurting. The poor guy can't even walk out the room without wincing. Horrible, miserable time to be Andre the Giant, and he would eventually pass away. I think this is his final appearance. This is his last major appearance on a WWE TV, if I'm not mistaken. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is his last appearance, because why wouldn't it be? This poor guy can't even work. And I was told by We Are Pro Wrestling that it was originally supposed to be a tag match involving Andre and Jake the Snake Roberts taking on the Natural Disasters, but unfortunately it never happened because of... Look at him! If you've seen him on this pay-per-view, the poor guy can't even walk. Or take a bump, let alone take a freaking bump. Lord. But in his place, we got this match, which was bad. This was a bad match. At least the Natural Disasters won. So, there's that. Afterwards, we had the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal, come out and confront the Natural Disasters, which, hey, that's a match I would like to see. Does it actually happen, by the way? We'll have to see. This is cool. We get Bobby the Brain Heenan going backstage holding the World Championship from WCW, or NWA at the time. But regardless, the big gold belt, he held it. He goes up to Hulk Hogan's room, knocks on it, and tells him, Ric Flair is coming for you, brother. And then he gets this door slammed in his face. That was the first mention of Ric Flair on TV, if I'm not mistaken. Now, again, they said it was. If it wasn't, I apologize, but I'm going off of information. This was the first mention of Ric Flair on a WWE TV, which is huge, because he wasn't even in WWF at the time. He was still in WCW and WA. And he eventually does come, because the big Royal Rumble, brother, from 1992, the greatest, if not one of the greatest Royal Rumbles in history, clearly. But, yeah, man, this was huge at the time. Ric Flair coming to WWF, and you knew the match they wanted to do for WrestleMania was Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, which didn't happen. We'll get to that hopefully in a future Summerslam video. Now, I did talk about that a little bit for my WrestleMania 8 review, but we'll probably revisit it sometime down the line. This is a cool match. $1 Million Championship. That's Ted DiBiase's championship. Ted DiBiase versus his former apprentice or assistant, valet, lackey, Virgil. And the whole storyline, first off, is one of the best storylines they've done at this time. Virgil had so much sympathy for being Ted DiBiase's pet, if anything. And Ted DiBiase would make him do all kind of crazy stuff. Pick up his money when he dropped it. Clean the dirt off his shoes. Pick out the fungus in between his feet. And that night, when Virgil turned on Ted DiBiase, easily goes down as one of the biggest babyface reactions ever seen in a WWF WWE ring. Awesome stuff with Virgil. So, naturally, we would get to this match at SummerSlam, which is a natural SummerSlam match to do. And to my surprise, it was actually pretty solid. A pretty solid match with an upset ending. Virgil, a non-established wrestler, ends up beating Ted DiBiase for the championship. Now, there was some bells and whistles at it. There was a point in the match where Sensational Sherry, who was in the corner of Ted DiBiase, came in and hit Virgil in the back of his head with a purse, that loaded purse we've seen before. And Ted DiBiase wins, or loses by disqualification, of course. However, the referee decides, and apparently referees can do this, he will restart the match while Sensational Sherry is escorted to the back. He kicks Sensational Sherry out, from around the ring, and he restarts the match. Why don't referees do this often? We don't see this happen nowadays. And this gets on my nerves. Because too many referees, they come across as punks and they so easily throw out disqualifications when we can just do stuff like this. Why not restart the match? You're the referee, right? You have that power. It doesn't matter because, to me, the last few moments of the match were the best. Those were awesome moments. And of course, Teddy DiBiase ends up costing himself the match when he exposes the turnbuckle, and Virgil throws him into it. Pins him 1, 2, 3. The crowd goes crazy. Awesome win. Solid match. What a moment for Virgil. And that is the only shining moment in his career. Next up is a Jailhouse Match between Big Boss Man and the Mountie with Jimmy Hart. Now, the Mountie was one of those Rougeau brothers. I don't even remember his name, but I gotta be real with you. I didn't like the match. The match was kind of boring. Very underwhelming, honestly. But, here's a big but. I am willing to forgive it because of those Jailhouse segments. So, as a result of the Mountie losing, Big Boss Man takes him to jail. And then we see these segments of him getting his fingerprints, taking pictures, him being thrown into jailhouse, and we get certain jail inmates coming up to him, one saying, I want to fight, and one who's gay trying to, pop him in the butt. It's just awesome stuff. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I thought the segments were great. I thought those moments of the Mountie just going crazy and crying and just selling this was mwah. It just made up for the lackluster match. I didn't like the match, but I absolutely loved those segments. Those are awesome. I can go back and rewatch them over and over and over again and still laugh. Awesome segments with the Mountie. See, when WWE does comedy right, it's awesome. When it doesn't come across all that well, like the Bushwhackers, it's horrible. But when they get it right, it's freaking hilarious. And then we have a street fight for the Tag Team Championships. The Nasty Boys with Jimmy Hart taking on the Legion of Doom. It was okay. Legion of Doom win. That's all I got to say about that. Moving on. IRS taking on Greg the Hammer Valentine. And IRS wins. Another pretty forgettable match. Look, none of that matters. None of that matters. Because you only care about one thing. And that, my friends, is the final two matches. So let's get to it. We'll get to the tag match first. And we got a lot to discuss. Let's start off with Sergeant Slaughter, who turned heel around this time. So, in the summer of 1990, Sergeant Slaughter, who was an American patriot, made his return to WWF after what was, 6 years of being gone? He was gone for a while. At the time of his departure, Slaughter was arguably, in my opinion, arguably the second biggest babyface in WWF, behind Hulk Hogan, because of his patriotic implications. Yes, I would even argue he might have been just a tad bit more popular than the Ultimate Warrior. This is before he left. This is 1984. Now, of course, Warrior wasn't around during this time. Now that he came back, he clearly wasn't the most popular, or the second most popular. It was Warrior and Hogan. But that all turned around when he came back as an Iraqi sympathizer. So how this came about was that Vince McMahon called him and was like, look, I want to make this show relevant to what's happening with the Gulf War. How would you like to come in and be an Iraqi sympathizer? Get mad at America for getting behind people, Russians, like Nikolai Volkov, who apparently was also an American patriot at this time, because he turned face and stuff. And he agreed to it. He was crazy, but he agreed to it. And for the next year, Slaughter came in as a villain. Faced people like Nikolai Volkov, Tito Santana, Ultimate Warrior, and Hulk Hogan. And he eventually won the World Championship for a short time, before losing it to Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. My lord. And then, this is also hard to talk about. We have this match, and during this time, his gimmick was so hated. Sergeant Slaughter was getting death threats. Literal death threats. People threatened to kill Sergeant Slaughter. It was that bad. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand how much heat you have to get actual death threats. We talk about Roman Reigns, and we talk about John Cena, and how the fans hate them. I guarantee you, if we talk to Cena or Reigns, neither one of them have gotten death threats. This guy got death threats. It was that bad. Lord. But luckily, after this match, it all ended. So that was Sergeant Slaughter. We gotta talk about another guy. That's Ultimate Warrior. In a documentary that WWE did, it was called The Self-Destruction of the Warrior, Ultimate Warrior. I still have it, by the way. Vince McMahon describes how Warrior demanded more money before SummerSlam. And he was threatening to no-show the event unless he was paid more. And apparently he was coy about how much he paid him, but Sergeant Slaughter revealed he paid him $500,000 to show up. That's a lot of money. Some of y'all are going, that's not that lot. Really? That's not a lot for you? Do you know what I can do with $500,000 in cash? My God. But as a result, Vince McMahon already knew what he wanted to do. He hated the fact that Warrior held him up, and he said that the moment he got behind stage, he was going to fire him, and he did. He fired the Warrior not too long after that. And he should have, because that was a whole move. That was not the most professional way of handling things. And I get it, you know, many wrestlers have notoriously complained about their money. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, that's why they left and went to WCW and formed the NWO. So, this is not something that's new. But the way he handled it, though, was not professional whatsoever. Yeah, we won't see the Warrior for a while until he comes back. Not too long after this, too. I think he comes back the very next year at WrestleMania. Yeah, he does return at WrestleMania. Okay. Well, moving on from that, well, the match itself, look, no offense. The match itself, the tag match, it was average. I honestly thought it was going to be a lot worse than we got. But it is what it is. Hulk Hogan and Warrior win. They beat the bad guys. And there you go. And then we get the wedding. Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. Marrying Miss Elizabeth. We see a video package of Savage proposing to Elizabeth. And some highlights of their relationship is shown. We get the wedding. Liz looked absolutely gorgeous. And so did Macho. Now, in case you guys don't know, they were already married. In real life, they were already a married couple. They've been married since 1984. However, what makes this bittersweet is that as beautiful and well-produced as the wedding was on TV, their marriage was falling apart in real life. And I think they eventually do get divorced. Next year. The very next year, they get divorced. It's that bad. I feel bad for them. Because they were a great couple on screen. But behind the scenes, it wasn't so much of a great couple. A tragic ending to a beautiful on-screen relationship. Now, something else happened that didn't show up on pay-per-view. The wedding had this post-segment where Elizabeth opened a gift and a snake was revealed inside. We don't see that until, I think, later down the line. But basically, Jake the Snake Roberts and The Undertaker crash their wedding party. This would lead to an awesome, very underrated feud between Savage and Jake the Snake Roberts, which I don't think I'll be talking about in this series, but when we talk about Survivor Series, oh brother, look for that. And there you go, there's the show. I mean, we got some great stuff on here. We had the fantastic IC title match. We had the solid $1 Million Championship match with Virgil. The wedding was beautiful. The main event was passable. I think so far, yeah, this will be seen as one of those pay-per-views where, yeah, this feels like SummerSlam. I feel like, up till now, SummerSlam has felt kind of skippable. You can skip it. This is the first one where I kind of felt, yeah, this feels like SummerSlam. This has that SummerSlam feel to it. It had the good feels. It had the cool segments. I thought it was a solid show. I thought it was definitely a show that if you sat through, you'll go, yeah, I feel good. I feel good about myself. It had some bad matches. Oh, don't get me wrong. Some of these matches are, like the Bushwhackers. No. And then, of course, you got some other stuff in there that's, don't go back and watch. So I will say overall it was a decent show, but this is definitely the best SummerSlam so far. That's my opinion. Now, we'll have to see how 1992 stands up to it, but give me your thoughts about this SummerSlam down below. Your favorite moments, the stuff I said, talk about it, have fun. But this is your boy, Alyx signing off, right here in Alyx World. Catch you guys next time for 1992. Until then, I'm out. See ya.